a book over here, and we're going to follow on the screen what the book has. And if we want to open it, at the beginning, I've put in some terminology, common terms used in our industry. This thing is advanced on its own. So basically, if you want to read this stuff over, it's just so when we talk, we're all talking the same language. All glass slider approach mat, which you're probably never ever going to see. Approach sign, automatic door, what it is. You guys can read it when you
Go back. Do that one, right? Hold it down.
Okay. It's just some reading material for you guys. It's common.
Be helpful on the plane.
Yeah, but when you call us or you're talking to somebody else in the industry, at least we use the same terminology. And it's like some stuff is for glass, like door sweeps. It's just in the industry, a force gauge. Sometimes a customer wants to know how much force, so we have little spring loaded that you go at 36 inch, you push on the door and it'll tell you how much pressure you need. That's available, it's got our name on it, so. Okay. Hopefully they give it away for free. Right, Daryl? We give it away for free, those little spring?
The force gauges?
Yeah.
We've got some that we're getting, so.
But do they have to pay for them?
Yeah.
No, we're giving some away as long as you're
They got our name on it.
as long as they have Adams certification.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd like to look after the distributors. Anyway, let's see when we get floor mat. If you ever get a mat, it'll show you how to test it. Now I'm showing my age.
Yeah, what is that thing up there?
That's the reason I got no skin on my knees, because we obviously don't have to skin on our knees to test those darn things. Okay, so the first thing we do is how do we hand our doors? We do it a little different than the hardware companies. The hardware, because of panic button things, they use left-hand reverse, right-hand reverse. Ours, we do it as simple as possible. You put your back to the hinge. If it opens to the left, it's a left hand. If it opens to the right, it's a right hand. So I would put my, so this would be a left hand. If it's pushing the door, it's a left hand push. If it's on this side and it's pulling the door, it's a left hand pull. It's still a left hand. That would be the opposite. Go to my right. So we try to keep it as simple as possible. And as far as I know, all of the automatic door industry, we all had them the same way. So when you order something, we have little drawings. You can use these to order. You can mark what you need, or just a little reference. So so we all hand things the same way. Now, you've got center hung, which means the header is directly above the door and the operator is the actual pivot of the door. Then you can make it swing to the left or to the right. We also have, see if we have the next. We also have, and this we started like 13 years ago, but now everybody's got one. We call it a center spindle, which means your header is part of your transom. So it's 4.5 inches. Hopefully you have a 4.5 inch tube. You put the header directly above, so it's not a surface mounted. A lot of architects like this because the guy builds a nice building, a nice entranceway, and then we come along and we stick this ugly box on it. So what you can do is, you can do it center spindle. So this would be flush on a 4.5 inch frame to the outside and to the inside. Your door could be on butt hinges or offset pivoted. And then we have an arm that comes from the spindle. There would be a roller on the top of the door. This is the arm you would use. And there would be a roller in the top of the door with a channel that would be inside the top of the door. The only thing you gotta watch out for, you need a big enough web in the door. If the guy's got a 3/4 inch web, everybody knows what I'm saying about the web is. is the shape of this door. If this piece here is not deep enough, it ain't gonna work. So you need about 1.5 inches there. Then what they do is we make a little cutout. We have a drawing showing what the cutout is. And then as the door opens, you'll see the arm. When the door's closed, it hides inside of an aluminum channel that is part of the package that we give you. So this would be the door stop that you get. It's got weather stripping. This would go like that, and then the arm would hide in here. So when the door's closed, you can't really tell that it's an automatic door. So this is part of the package. You would get this, the arm, and the channels. Also, what's nice, we can do that in bottom load, so if somebody wants to put bricks, wood, whatever, they can do that. So you hide it inside of a cavity. Now our header is structural, so you can do a 72-inch. We can put one side automatic, the other side you can put a manual door close or a dorm or whatever you want. And we can prep all that for you. So that's basically the operators that we have, or the way it's installed. And we've got center hung, where there's a big arm that goes inside of the door. This would be it here. So what you would do is, typically you've got a slot here, and I'm going to redesign it so the slot is in the back with an Allen key, so you can move the door after it's installed back and forth. This one now, you kind of have to tighten it and then put some cardboard or something and try and force the door. Then when you get it so it's perfect, you can open it up and you can usually pin it. If you try and measure it, you're probably going to be off a 1/16, an 1/8. Then I give you 2 chances. You can flip it around and the holes are, you can drill new holes. If you screw it up the second time, then you're going to have to add a piece of aluminum on the top of the door, or drill some other holes here to install. So typically what we would do is, because this gives you a lot of leeway, you measure from the back of the door. Now there's some standard sizes. From the back of the door on the center hung, you either have 2 3/4 or 3 3/4. 2 3/4 if there's no finger guard. If there's a finger guard, that 1-inch piece of rubber that collapses, so if you have your hand there, it's not going to cut your fingers off. Call it a finger guard. That's standard 1 inch. So then your pivot would be 3 3/4. Now one thing you got to look out for, I don't know what the codes are here, but they've changed. It used to be 32 inches before you needed a clear opening for a handicap. So if you open the door and you measured, you had to have a 32-inch clear opening so the wheelchair could get through. In Canada now, the code is 34 inches. What is it in the US, Daryl? Do we know? Or?
32.
Still 32. Okay, well, if you get a 36-inch door and you put it center hung, you'll get your 32. But in Canada, if you get a 36-inch, you're not going to get it. So the doors now, we're starting to put 38-inch doors. So if you put a pair of doors, they're usually 38 and 38, not 36 and 36. Just something to keep in the back of your head, because if you only come up with 31 inches, it's not going to be accepted. You're going to have to automate both sides of the door, or you're going to have to change something. So how this goes on is you put this on the operator, on the spindle, you tighten it up, and then your door has to have a cutout on the back and on the bottom, and it would slide on to this arm. Well, there goes that. And to the pivot. Typically, when we do an installation like this, it's usually we do it with a glass company. So what we would do is we would hang the doors together, because they usually don't buy the doors from us. They buy from the glass companies. So, yeah, they buy from the glass company. So when they're going to put it up, we send somebody over, because then we have to set it up, set the back, check the latching, adjust the speeds and things like that. I don't know how it's done here, but yeah, in Canada, we work together with glass companies. We typically don't supply the doors. The doors are a glass guy, we put the automatic up. Now, on a center hung, typically we would send the header to the glass company and he would build it into his frame. So when he puts his frame up, it's already installed. Okay, when we do a surface mounted, then typically the frame is already in there, we just go in there and install it then. Anyway, let's see what's next. Now these are the we've got, well let me, when we order headers, the way we do the size, we do the width of the door plus 3 inches. So surface applied, that's our standard. The reason we do that is it gives you an overlap of 1.5 inches. So if your door is 36, you would get a 39-inch header. If you don't get a 40, because you might say, well, this 36 plus 1.75 inches, if it's 39.5. We try to keep it inside a little bit because it looks really bad if this sticks out past the frame a little bit. And you look at it, you see a frame, and then you see even 1/8 inch sticking out. It doesn't look good. So we try to keep it inside of the frame about 1/4 inch. Now, if you've got drywall, you know, you have to tell us. We say, well, I don't want it, I want it 37. We can make it whatever. But standard, we would do the width of the door plus 3 inches. So this 36 and 36 is 72. We would add 3 inches, you would get a 75-inch header.
Yeah, so you're just measuring from style to style on the door frame.
Pardon? Yeah, we would measure from, the opening of the frame.
From the outside of the style to the outside of the style.
From the inside of the style. To the inside of that style is 72, and we would add 3 inches, so you would get a 75-inch header.
Right, but I mean, if we gave you a measurement, you know, like style to style was 75, you could say, you know, we had...
Yeah, don't give us that. Give us the inside, and then we'll add 3. Or just tell us I want a 75-inch header, or a 74, or whatever. But standard, that's how we would do it. Now there's... let me see if I gotta try and follow this, or else I get we jump all over the place. Also the header now, if you notice the arm, a push arm, it's symmetrical. This could be taken off and put down, you know, at the bottom. And this little block can be flipped around. So this header, the easiest way I think that it looks the best and easiest to install if we put it flush to the bottom. Because then we got at least 1.75 inches of tube that we could screw into. But you could put this up 2 inches, you can go up to 3 inches above, and it'll still work, if for some reason you wanted it. Now another thing, if you put a pull, if beside here you had a pull application, the pull has to go 1.25 inches, 1 3/8 above this frame. So if you got a pull on that side, you should put this 1.25 inches so they look the same. You don't want one header down and the other one up. It just, you gotta, you know, it's also looks. It's gotta be functional, but it has to look good too. But if it's strictly all push applications, the easiest way is just put it flush, put a couple of screws, 2, 4, and you can put one in the middle, and that's basically it. The stress is over here at the pivot point. There's really, you know, no stress in the middle. But however you do, we don't send you any screws to mount it to, we send you screws to mount it to an aluminum. But if you've got drywall, if you've got bricks, blocks, you have to basically solve that problem yourself. Now, the most important thing with mounting a door is make sure the header is not going to fall off. If you've got drywall, you can't just put plugs into this thing.
No.
You've got to put either toggle bolts that go behind the steel, or what we do is we mark with a pencil, and then we do a little cutout, and we try and find the stud, and then we put wood in the U part of the stud that goes inside the stud, and then we try and catch it right through. Sometimes if it's in an area, you know, receiving or something, we actually put threaded rod right through. I mean, put nuts and bolts on the opposite side, or we make a nice little plate on the other side, and we put it on. You have to make sure that this thing doesn't fall off, because it's going to be up there for 20 years. And there is, Ours actually doesn't have a whole lot of stress. Because we got a clutch, there's not a lot of stress on this when you're opening or closing the door. But still, you know, some kid might jump on it and you don't want the thing to fall on somebody's head. That's the only thing you have to worry about, is the header has to be 100% secure. Blocks, I usually, if it's a block, it's a receiving area, it's just as easy. You drill a hole right through, you get a threaded rod, even if you put one. So if it comes loose and you want to put, you know, some kind of light bolts or something on the other side, but put one threaded rod, like make sure that it isn't going to fall down, because it's probably going to hit somebody, going to be a lawsuit, plus we all look bad.
So you wouldn't recommend using Tap-on screws and kind of?
No, if it's cement, you can use Tap-ons.
Okay.
Cement, but on a block, I wouldn't. You know, blocks are a little. You gotta be careful because they crumble. I would try and put just some, you know, put a couple of pieces of threaded rod. But that's why, and you can't just put screws at the bottom and say 1 3/4 inch, because this thing will rock.
Yeah.
You need something at the bottom and something near the top to prevent it from rocking. But it's mostly common sense. It's you've got to, you know, just make sure it doesn't fall down, because man, it's not going to look good down here. Anyways, let's go on. Now these are the arms. We've got a flat arm, which is like this, and this comes in two forms. If you see, and I can pass these around. One of these has got a little extra machine, and one doesn't. So this is non-handed. You can put it to the left or to the right. You can use that as a pull arm if you want. The one that's got the extra machine is used for the center spindle, so the arm misses that door because it's really close. When the door comes closed, we don't want the arm hitting the door, so we machine it out a little bit more. So this arm is the center spindle or a pull application. Now, let's say you've got no headroom. You don't have the 6 inch, you don't have the 4 inch. What we can do is, and we usually put it on the pull side, you could mount the header this way, and your spindle would be here, but we would do it on the pull side, so when the door's open, the arm is out of the way. We would use that pull arm. Because a lot of times, I don't know if you do, in Toronto, we do 95% of the condos, and there's 150 new condos going up now, and typically each condo might have 20, 30 automatic doors. Plus now in the front, we're putting sliding doors in there because of the wind. So what happens is a lot of places where there is no headroom, or we're just doing some now where there's a church where the door is kind of, it's got a really weird shape, like a point on it. So where do you put the automatic door? So we put it on the side, behind the door with that flat arm, so it's really flat, you hit the button, so it's a clear opening where you walk through, everything is behind the door. You can also, if there's a wall coming out this way, and you've got like 5 inches, you can mount it on this wall with the spindle here, with that arm. It really doesn't care. The spindle's here, it opens the door. So that's why, if you've got anything that's out of the ordinary, don't say we can't do it. If you make a little hand sketch or take a picture, email it to us, we've probably done everything that can be imagined. So that's that arm. Now this arm here is our other pull arm. So this would give you a little more power, plus this is what we typically would use as a pull arm now. So you can remove these screws up here, and you could take this and you could flip it the other way so it's non-handed. We used to make it that it was welded and then you had to order left hand or right hand. So you could take this off, flip it around, put it this way, and you got your other hand. I don't really like the look of this thing, but hey, that's the best we could come up with now. We're redesigning it because a lot of people complained they didn't want the welded one, they had to carry 2, and so we made that, but it's not really, It works, but as far as a design, we're coming up with something better. This is a center hung. And like I say, you put the screw in here, out. As soon as we run out of these, I'm gonna put that slot in the back here and put a grub screw in the back. So when you tighten it to hold the door in with an Allen key, you'll be able to move the door one way or the other to get it a nice line. A little easy. You still do the same thing now, but you kind of have to guess at it. You lose it and loosen the bolt, and you got to push it a little to one way or a little the other, tighten it up, close the door, try it. Takes a little longer to do. And this is our push arm. So this is non-handed. Now, when you get this arm, the rod that you would get is this long. This will do up to a 14-inch reveal, which means this thing from the front face of the door to the back of this, you can have it 14 inches away. It doesn't look that good, but it'll work. And if it's further away, you can let us know, we'll send you a bigger rod. I don't recommend it because it looks real funny, but if somebody's got a piece of cement coming here and it's 10 inches away and there's no other place to put the operator, you have to put it on that cement slab. That's why. But because it does 14 inches, when you get this and you do an installation like this, you probably have to end up cutting this. So if you see this application here, without cutting it, it's way too big.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to have to cut it. And then there's two Allen keys up here that hold it. The reason we have two, if it's really windy, it's not going to let go. So this is, like I say, it could be mounted this way. It could be mounted that way. This arm, this could be taken out of there and put at the bottom. That allows us to go even higher with the operator. So I made it very versatile. And all this is a chunk of steel, that's it. It's nothing fancy.
Frank, if you're about at a break, food is ready.
Oh!
So we're all set for lunch.
Oh, we made it right on time, so we'll leave it there, okay.
Good, good. If you want, there's some hand sanitizer just as you go by this. If you want to put some of that in or go to the restroom, wash your
Carol, this
hands.
thing fell apart on.
And we head straight on to the kitchen. They've got everything ready.
Let's see what happens, I gotta push it down here.
Just leave your stuff right on your tables, right where you're at.
Oh, there we go.
Working on that.
No, in the back here, it doesn't. Yeah, it's fine. It's the fun, I There it goes. Hey!
So, Frank, on a pole mounted door, is
Sorry, what?
a pole door,
Yes.
can there be no reveal? Does it have to be flush?
No, you can put it, I mean, on this side, but.
Yeah, if I was
So
to mount this on the other
yeah,
side,
you can have a reveal,
okay.
but not very big. You can do maybe
couple inches.
like 4-inch reveal.
Okay.
If it's more than that, you have to let us know. What we have is a longer, we'll give you a longer arm.
Okay.
Yeah, but usually on a reveal, you get very little. There's usually, it's usually on the push side or of the door. Usually, on the pull side, the reveals are very small. There's
Oh,
very
yeah,
few.
and most of the time, with some other operators, you can't have any reveal. You have to build the arms.
Well, yes,
out
if you,
or
but if
something
you
like that.
use that flat arm, yeah, you have to do that. But if you use the Z arm, yeah.
Okay.
That's one of the problems with that flat arm. If you only have that flat arm, you have to build it out because the arm will hit the reveal.
Okay.
But on the Z arm, it lowers it, so you don't have that problem.
Okay.
You can have a 4-inch reveal, it's not a problem.
Good deal. Thanks, Frank.
Hey.